Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about 5 camera tips that can improve your photography today. So let's get into it. So starting off with number 1 is manual mode. You want to be using manual mode on your camera because it helps you control all of your settings manually, obviously. And that means you can control your image from any form that you would like to. It helps you control your ISO, shutter speed, and aperture, controlling your depth of field, your shutter speed, and how much noise is in the image. This results in your own photo that you have created personally instead of the camera automatically choosing settings that best fit you, but maybe you don't want those settings. This is why you should shoot in manual mode. And it can all around just improve your knowledge for your camera and how well you know to use what settings for what shot. And this is one tip that helped me improve getting a better photographer, moving from my old camera to my new camera. And as soon as I got onto my new camera, I switched it over to manual mode straight away and started learning what aperture, ISO, and shutter speed means, because they just helped me out so much. And this is why I reckon you should shoot in manual mode. And coming in to number 2 is composition. And if you do not know what composition is yet, it's basically the framing of your shot. So you're taking a landscape and you have a composition of a tree on the left, mountains in the back. It's basically what is in your shot and where it is framed. So you want to be including in your composition on putting things in the foreground. This presents another element to your photo, creating more depth between the subject and filling in the negative space around the frame. This helps you to get more pleasing photos to the eye, and if you've heard of rule of thirds before, that is when there's 3 lines across your screen forming a 3x3 grid. That is what the rule of thirds is called. Basically, you place your subject, your model on the rule of thirds, and it all around gives you a more pleasing photo, and that's the whole point of it. But sometimes your composition is just plain out wonky. If your photo's wonky as well, it kind of suits in. So you need to have a according composition to what kind of photo you would like. So for instance, this photo of me playing the piano, I decided to frame this shot up because I'm in the center of the frame and I'm on the second line on the right going horizontal. As you can see, the piano, or the keyboard that you might like to call it, is leading your eye up to the light. So your eye gradually just goes up and follows the leading lines. And this presents a nice composition because I've placed my subjects, my piano, and myself on the rule of thirds, leading to a nice even photo. And here's one last example of a rule of thirds in a landscape. You may not realize that it's rule of thirds, but I've got my mountain in the foreground that's full of nice pine trees. That's on the horizontal line, kind of in the middle on the top one underneath that. So I've placed that on the top one. And then for the rest of the photo, I've got the blue mountains and the clouds in the background. So they kind of like are a bit on top of each other. And as you can see, my green mountain is on the bottom or the middle half, and my blue and clouds are on the top. So you've got that stack of thirds on your image, presenting a nice, clean, formal image as according as if you just didn't really think about it and just snapped the photo. And to improve this tip, I would 100% recommend going into your camera and selecting or checking the rule of thirds on your phone or even on your digital camera, whatever you have, and try, and next time you're taking a photo, think about where your subject is and if you would like to place them on the rule of thirds, just to make a nice clean photo. A quick disclaimer, there are more ways of composing your photo as viral, heaps of other different ways, but I'm just going over the rule of thirds mainly for this topic, just to keep it nice and simple. But comment in the description if you would like more thorough tips about composition. And on to the 3rd tip of the day. This one probably helped me either the first or the second most improving my photography, and it is lighting. You may not have expensive lighting gear like me, but that's not the issue. You can use the sunlight and it is absolutely free, so why not? But the sunlight is always not a good option because there are too harsh of shadows coming off the sunlight, and that's leading to harsher lines in your photo, creating an unpleasing photo, and you may not want that. So all you have to do is just wait for a nice weather, rainy, cloudy day to roll over your city, and you've got clouds, and this creates a diffusion, softening the light provided from the sun onto your subject, leading to nice soft lights like I've got here. But as you can see, if I take off my softbox, now as you can see, this is if the sun was out and bright. It's really harsh lighting and it's not really that pleasing. And as you can see, all the shadows on my face and on my shirt and just everywhere all around are really harsh and they're not that enjoyable to look at. So that's why we wait for the clouds to come over and we diffuse most of our lights with a diffuser. There we go, back into tip-top shape. So to help you out with creating nice, beautiful, soft diffused photos, you can simply wait for the sun or you can purchase a light. But this light was incredibly cheap. I'll put the link in the description. It was about $300 AU Australian, coming with a stand and a softbox. That was a beautiful price because usually they're about $800 and that is not what you need. Or if it's nice and sunny where you live and there's no clouds anywhere, you probably have to go to under shade or indoors. And most indoor lights are kind of yucky and not pleasing as well. So what you can do is potentially use window lights, or put a diffusion over your current lights, like umbrellas if you have any white umbrellas, or baking paper, but you want to be wary that they might warm up and they could potentially catch on fire if they're too hot, so you just want to be careful of that and stay safe. But lighting is one of the most essential components to photography because you can't light a subject if there is no light. That's why I encourage you to focus mainly or mostly on lighting your frame. And on to the fourth tip of today. The second last tip is lenses. And as may you not have multiple lenses like me, you may just have your kit lens, this tip will 100% still help you. So you have different lenses to create different focal lengths in your photo. More compressed lenses make more shallow depth of field and more compressed photos. And then you can even go up to 500 mils that is just crazy compressed and they have incredible depth of field. Or you can go to the wide option, like this is a 24mm f3.5 aperture. So you can create more wide shots and not as more depth of field. But as you see, if I zoom in, the image comes more compressed and you can see I've created a bit more depth of field as if I was to zoom back out to wide 24mm. And you have different lenses to create different scenarios in your photo. As for instance, if you have a model that's far away and you'd like to zoom right into them, you would need a more zoom compressed lens to get them fit in the frame. But if they are right next to you and you'd like to grab more detail of them, you can use a wider lens just because they're closer to you and it is more optimal too. And as the kit lens is great creating many photos that you can do, it is pretty much my most used lens that I have, and it's legit the kit lens. So you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on new lenses, but the most cheapest, affordable, most recommended lens that I would present to you is the Nifty 50. And if you don't know what this lens is, it is a 50mm f1.8. So if you still do not know what that means, that means it is a pretty decent compressed lens for only 200 Australian dollars. That means that's a crazy cheap price for such a good quality lens, and that's why it's called the Nifty 50. And my last tip for today for beginner photographers that are just starting out or even somewhat intermediate is ideas. You want to think original and try not copy any specific creator or anyone you follow, because then you're kind of just making your own foreshadow of them, if that makes sense. Say I follow a YouTuber or a photographer that I follow and they take a photo of something that I enjoy. If I just take the same photo of that, it's not really being very creative and thinking out of the box. It's just shadowing what they have done. And really, the viewers and followers don't want to see another copy of that specific creator, so that is why you should be creating your own content and ideas. And to help you do this is thinking different. To help make it a bit different is, say we take a normal landscape photo or a portrait that anyone has taken in the world. Everyone has the same scenario, they place the subject in the middle, they light, they zoom straight on, it's all basic and everyone has done it before. But to think out of the box, maybe you want to get a frame or a horseshoe or a paper bag or something to fill in the frame to make it a bit more creative, and this will help encourage you and grow your own self so you can gain your own followers that like watching your specific content, not following someone else. So thinking outside the box is also another very crucial idea to photography that helps you can create very wonderful masterpieces of new photos. So this was 5 camera tips that can help you as a beginner photographer, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. This is my first sit down video, and yes, stay safe, keep well, peace, bye, love you all, and stay 100. There's always too many words in that outro, I just cannot figure out. But anyways, later.